And we've got the red on, all the red, and then we'll put a couple more of the dark on, and we'll get back with you. Alright, we're almost completed. We've allowed the quiver to dry overnight. See that the green weavers that were very prominently green yesterday have dried out and very light colored. The rawhide on the base, it's turned nice and tan, so it matches the river cane real good. The dyed weavers, they actually turned out pretty good. Kind of like those, but we'll add a couple more weavers at the top. Then we'll trim. You see at the top of the ribs are all a little bit staggered. We'll trim those off and get ready to finish the quiver up at the top. Okay, we finally got the weavers all the way to the top. Now these are just the regular color, so these will dry as light as these will by tomorrow. But now you can see that we've got a few of the ribs that are a little higher than the rest. And now remember, even as this dries, you'll be able to slide this down a little bit, but when we finish the top with the rawhide, it'll cover. But I like to have the tops of the ribs pretty flush. And so what I'll do, I'll come along here now and trim these to length. You can always use a knife if you need to finish trimming these up. But, there's the top now. It's nice and cleaned up. And now what we'll use rawhide and loop around. And that rawhide, when it dries, it'll lock that in nice and tight. But you can see we're pretty uniform coming around. And this size quiver, I mean, it'll easily hold a dozen 18 arrows. Of course, 18 that'd be field points, but almost finished. Here's a view of in the sunlight, kind of what the quiver looks like. Kind of shows up maybe a little better out here in the sun. We'll finish it up and get back. Okay, we've got our weavers all the way to the top. Got our top trimmed, and we're ready to start wrapping rawhide around the top. And what I've got in my kettle over here, get them out, is I've taken the half inch buffalo rawhide that I use for the base and split it in half. So now it's just 1/4 inch, and we've got oh goodness, about 10 feet or so, I guess, of the rawhide, and we're ready to start weaving it around the top. Now, what I like to do, I like to come down about 3 rows or so, 3 to 4 rows, and you can see how, if you angle this, that on each side of the rib there'll be a gap, and I'll run that down on both sides of the gap, and then I'll bring it up over the top of the rib to kind of cover that sharp edge of the rib. So you can kind of see we're starting that in, and you'll see on the inside it'll start coming through. And what I do is take one hand on the outside and then start working that way through. What I've got is I've got the middle part of the rawhide already marked, and so I'll work it halfway on both sides, or bring it in halfway. I'll start with at the halfway point and weave it in both the directions is what I'll do. But I'll get a little bit of this started and show you how it's coming. Let's see if I can catch some of this on video. But my fingers might get in the way. But you also, if you put a little point on your rawhide, some of these are the weavers are pretty close together, and so it takes a bit of work to get the point in there. And just so rawhide is kind of like a rubber band. But it'll dry nice and hard, make a nice hard top to it. What I'm doing is each time I come up over the top, I'm bringing that up over where the ribs are cut off, because those ribs are pretty sharp. I'm sure there's probably another or a better way to cover those, but this seems to work pretty good. But there's not counting this here, but there's a one row round, and basically just keep repeating it. I'm going to take some of the other half that I've just kind of pushed down in there. I'm going to bring it out now and run it around one. And there we have it. We've got the rawhide. It's all laced around there. Nothing fancy. It's crossed and just basically just wrapped around and around. You cut it down through, bring it up to the inside, and wrap it, kind of like sewing it around. But it'll dry hard and clear. Got a little piece in here just kind of holding the tail end of that rawhide down in there till it dries. But there it is. We'll cover, after it dries, we'll get another picture or so, maybe in the sunlight tomorrow, and we'll cover a little bit on adding the strap, or not the bow strap, quiver strap, how to tie the strap on, and then some decorating tips on how to decorate your quiver. Well, here's the finished quiver right out here in the early morning light. Get a good view of it. You can see the top rawhide. It dried up during the night. It whitened up. Looks good. Nice and tight and hard. So I'll keep the top from coming off. But it's a finished product. Now do another little section on how you can personalize your quiver with different items. But I hope you enjoyed it. It's a real nice little quiver to throw over your shoulder and take out hunting.